Welcome, IED students. Today we're going to talk about multi-view drawings, and don't be surprised if this one takes a couple of days to get through because multi-view drawings is the ability to look at and draw an object in the front, top, and side view, or any view in particular. So we're going to be trying to develop these skills as we go along, and here's a couple of the goals that we're going to be doing. We're going to learn how to identify error and omissions in orthographic projections and multi-view drawings. We're going to hand sketch an isometric view or build a physical representation of an object based on a multi-view drawing of the object. And then finally, we're going to use CAD software to generate orthographic projections and create multi-view drawings from a 3D solid model. And by the end of this lesson, we should be able to do all of those different things. We're going to continue using the construction blocks that we've been using in the past, and we can also use some tape to put in the front, top, and side view to give us some more indications of which side we're actually looking at. The main reason that you want to do this is that we're basically using multi-views to be able to communicate details. So an isometric view, as you can see down here at the bottom, shows you a three-dimensional view of the object. But if you were to try to give somebody an isometric view of an object and you said, hey, make this, then they're going to have a little bit of a hard time making the measurements for each individual side. The isometric view gives a great view of the three-dimensional object, but the isometric view doesn't really do a good job of showing the dimensions or how the lengths of each individual object, which is why we've got to be able to think about these things from a front, top, or side view as well, so that we can actually get a dimensioned drawing so that we can actually create this object. So you can kind of see from this picture, this front view of the object, this is the side that gives the most information about the object. So I would consider this the front object, the front view of the object. And you can see how if you were to like take a plane and move it through, that this shape wouldn't actually change as you continued to go through. The front view would look exactly the same all the way through the object. That's not always true with every object, but in this case, it totally is. Sometimes you have hidden stuff inside, and the isometric view just doesn't show all of that stuff. So that's why we're going to also be using um, multi-views as well. Here's a good example. So if you've got a chair, you can draw a chair in an isometric view, but you can also draw it from the front, top, and side view as well. And these front, top, and side views gives you a much better idea of the dimensions and the size and depth of this object. So if I were to try to take a tape measure, or if this was, obviously this isn't the real size of the chair, if I could take a measure to it, or I could measure the drawing, and then if it's to scale, just multiply that number up. So this is the top view, and this is the right view, and this is the front view. I always try to do the front view from the left side, and I always try to make sure that the right view is actually coming in from the right side. Some people flip this over and they make the front view on the right side and then they draw a left view, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that I like to try to stay consistent, so I'm going to draw the front on the left, the top on the top, and the right on the right. Okay, and let's see here. If you're trying to align your views, if you're making a multi-view object, what you would do is you would put the front view in the center of the page. And normally what we end up doing is we normally only include let's see if I can get rid of that. There we go. We normally only include the front, top, and side, which means on a piece of paper, I'm normally going to put this on the bottom left side, and then I'm going to put the top side on the top left, and I'm going to put the right on the bottom right, and I'm going to squeeze an isometric view in here. But if it was a really complicated object and you needed all of the different sides, you would put the front in the middle and then the top, right, bottom, left, and then if you even needed it, the rear view over to the side like this. This is how we would normally draw these objects out. Now, I'm never going to ask you guys to draw a top, front, right, bottom, left, and rear side. That's way too much stuff and it's going to take way too long to be able to do. Instead, what we'll probably be doing is we'll just be using the top, front, and right side. So you can do this with Onshape, and it will automatically generate it for you. And I'll show you guys how to do that just in good time. Okay, so then what we're going to be doing and what I'm going to be asking for you guys is we're going to take a look at this object. We're going to study the multi-view sketch in Figure 3 and the orthographic projection alignment shown in Figure 4 quickly, so 5 minutes or less. Sketch the left side and the rear view of the dining chair in the correct orientation. Use light construction lines, like the red line shown in Figure 4, to align the views properly, and heavy lines to identify the edges of the object. Be sure to always initial and date your sketches, and then quickly sketch the missing orthographic projection to represent the front view of the part. Use light construction lines between the views to properly align features. So number 2 is specifically talking about this sketch down here. Number 1 is talking about trying to add different views for this chair. So this chair has a top, a front, and a right side view. So on number 1, they want you to create um, a left side and a rear view of the dining chair. So we're going to create a left side and a rear view. And we're going to try our best, and obviously it's not going to look exactly like this. It's going to be a little bit off, but keep in mind that you want the left side and the rear view to be right by each other. See how these extend out in a line? So you're going to go left side, and then over to the left of it, you're going to put rear, and these two are going to be in line with each other. One chair should not be, one side, one view of the chair should not be taller than the other view of the chair. You have to be mindful whenever you make these sketches. Okay, so that's what we're going to be starting with 1 and 2. So we're going to be quickly putting these sketches in. Okay, and I think we're going to be, there is a worksheet that goes along with it. So I'm going to show you guys what that looks like. If you click on this multi-view drawing worksheet, here's what we have. I think it should load that we can actually see it. There we go. Okay, so the multi-view drawing worksheet, if you have it, you can actually put your sketches on here. If you're using your Chromebook, you can flip it over and you can actually draw on it. If you're not, just make a sketch on paper. It doesn't have to be, it does not have to be on this sheet, okay? And what we're mainly focusing on right now is we're focusing on number 1, and we're focusing on number 2, trying to find the missing viewpoint of this object, okay? These are the 2 things that I'm going to need you to do to start with, and we're going to turn in these 2 things and some other stuff later. So make sure that you have done this part for today, and I'm going to see how far we get done in class, but we'll see what happens with that. Okay, have a good day, and we will talk tomorrow.